Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're looking at something a little different. We're going to be looking at the running order for a Christmas service
Oh, cool.
at Vibrant Vineyard.
Okay.
Before you think, oh, it's just like, songs and readings, it's actually laid out like a story. It's got 4 distinct sections,
Nice.
and each section has poems, readings, carols.
That's great. Yeah, so it's kind of like they've curated a whole Christmas journey for their congregation. It's not just about celebrating the holiday, it's about exploring its deeper meaning and connecting with the Christmas spirit.
Exactly.
In a unique way.
Yeah, so let's jump right into the first section, which is titled Introduction.
Okay.
And they start off with a poem called Majesty Resides. And it's all about, finding majesty in those unexpected places.
Oh, I like that.
There's this one line that really struck me. It says, "With childlike eyes, we seek where majesty resides, not in grandeur or might, but where humility abides."
Oh. That's lovely. Yeah. I think it's fascinating how the poem kind of sets up this beautiful contrast between the grand idea of majesty and then the humble setting of Jesus's birth, which is immediately highlighted in the following gospel reading from Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 12.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, look closer. The extraordinary can be found in the ordinary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they reinforce that with the carol, "Once in royal David City," royalty being born in an unexpected place.
Yeah, that's right. It all comes together so beautifully already.
I know.
Just in that first section.
Yeah.
And that brings us to section 2, A Journey Bearing Gifts. The title itself is intriguing, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. And the intrigue continues with the poem that's called Bleak Midwinter's Gifts.
Okay.
And this one really got me thinking.
Okay.
It's all about, those simple heartfelt gifts that we can offer, rather than material riches. And I particularly loved this part. "What gift can I bring to the one born so low, to the king in a cradle where humble winds blow? No riches or splendor, no jewels or gold, just the warmth of my heart in the cold."
That's beautiful. Yeah.
It just speaks volumes about the true spirit of giving.
Yes, and it perfectly sets the stage for what follows, the story of the cobbler and his guest.
Right.
Now, this story is a classic for a reason. It challenges our preconceived notions about generosity, I think.
Yeah.
Remember how the cobbler wanted to give Jesus his finest shoes?
Right.
But then realizes he doesn't need material gifts.
Right.
So instead he spends the day welcoming strangers, feeding them, and helping them, thinking Jesus will visit him directly.
Yeah. And in the end, he realizes all those acts of kindness were acts of service to Jesus himself.
Exactly.
It's such a powerful lesson in recognizing the divine in the everyday, the unexpected.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not about these grand gestures, but it's about recognizing the divine spark in everyone we encounter. And this ties in so well with the carol they've chosen next, We Three Kings. It tells the story of the wise men traveling from afar, bringing their gifts. And I think what's fascinating here is, again, the journey itself.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about the destination or the extravagance of the gifts, but the dedication and love demonstrated through that act of traveling to bring those gifts.
Yeah, a different perspective on giving.
Yes.
And then to further that idea, they include a reading from Luke, chapter 2, verses 13 through 20.
Okay.
This passage is about the shepherds.
Yes.
Those humble folks who come to visit the newborn Jesus.
Right.
And it brings us back to that simple, heartfelt adoration, that pure act of offering what you have.
Yeah. Wow, I'm already feeling so moved.
I know, right?
There's so much depth packed in just these first 2 sections. They really are crafting an entire experience.
They are. It's like a carefully curated tapestry.
Yes.
Weaving together these different elements to create a cohesive and meaningful narrative. And it only gets richer as we move forward.
I can't wait to dive into the next section.
Oh, no.
What's coming up?
Well, things take a slightly more introspective turn in section 3.
Okay.
It's aptly titled The Birth and the Light. And it all starts with a poem that's guaranteed to make you think.
Oh, I love it when things get thought-provoking.
I know, right?
Tell me more.
Well, they've chosen Mary Did You Know? And it shifts the perspective to Mary's experience. And this poem isn't just a celebration of Jesus' birth. It explores the profound implications of that event, the miracles he would perform, and the salvation he would bring. And it poses this question: did Mary fully grasp the magnitude of what was happening?
Wow.
You know?
That's such a profound question to consider.
I know,
It
right?
adds a whole new layer to the Christmas story and what
Ah.
happens after that.
Well, they build on this introspective mood with the song Mary Did You Know?
Right.
Further amplifying those emotional questions. It encourages the listener to kind of step into Mary's shoes, to feel the weight of those questions alongside her,
Mm.
and then to balance out that emotional intensity.
They bring in something a little softer.
Exactly. They transition to a gentle lullaby, away in a manger. It brings the focus back to the vulnerability and humanity of the newborn Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
The simple beauty of that moment.
That's such a thoughtful choice, and it creates a really nice flow, doesn't it? From reflection to tenderness, and then where do they go from there?
Well, hold on to your hats, because there's another shift in tone.
Oh.
They move from gentle contemplation to powerful proclamation with Waymaker, born in a manger.
Ooh, I love that. I can already sense the energy changing.
I know, right?
What's so powerful about this one?
It shifts the focus from the human experience to the divine power of Jesus. It's full of lines that emphasize his divinity and his role as a bringer of change. There's this one line that gives me chills every time. He brought heaven to earth in a soft, sacred place. It's such a powerful image, isn't it?
It really is. It takes us from that quiet reflection to a sense of awe and wonder. They're really taking us on a journey.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
And the journey continues in section 4, Celebrate This Christmas Time. But before we jump into that, I'm curious, what's resonating with you the most so far? Is it the imagery, the message, or something else entirely?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's so much to unpack.
Right.
But I think what's really striking me is the way they're using these simple elements, poems, reading, songs, to create such a layered and emotionally rich experience.
Yeah,
It's making me see Christmas services in a whole new light.
I agree.
It's not just about tradition, it's about storytelling, reflection, connection.
I completely agree. And speaking of connection, section 4 broadens the scope beyond the nativity scene
Okay.
and delves into a theme that's close to everyone's hearts, family.
Yeah.
And they introduce this theme with a poem for 2 speakers called A Christmas Gift of Family. It's all about celebrating family as a reflection of God's love. There's this beautiful line about family being a shelter from the storm, which really speaks to that sense of comfort and support we find in our loved ones.
That's such a heartwarming image, especially during the holidays, and it makes me think about how family can be a source of strength and love, not just during the holidays, but throughout the year.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the readings they've chosen for this section. They start with a passage from Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 and 7.
Oh, yeah.
This one's powerful. It proclaims Jesus as the Messiah, bringing peace and justice to the world.
Every time I hear those words, for us, a child is born to us, a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. It sends shivers down my spine. It's such a grand and hopeful vision of the future.
It really is. And then to further emphasize that sense of hope and fulfillment, they transition to the Song of Simeon from Luke chapter 2, verses 29 through 32. Now, you might not be familiar with Simeon, but he was this righteous man who had been waiting his entire life to see the Messiah.
Oh, I remember the story. And when he finally gets to hold the baby Jesus, his words are so moving. He says, "Sovereign Lord, as you have promised, you may now dismiss your servant in peace, for my eyes have seen your salvation." It's almost like a sigh of relief, a sense of profound peace.
It's incredibly beautiful. It speaks to that deep longing we all have for peace and salvation. And to bring this series of readings to a close, they include something really special. The priestly blessing from Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26.
Oh, I love the priestly blessing. Those words are so powerful and comforting. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. It's like they're sending the congregation out into the world with this, blanket of blessing.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that we're not alone in our journey.
Yeah.
We have this source of love and support guiding us always. And that's a powerful note to end this section on, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like they've taken us on this incredible emotional journey from the intimate celebration of family to this grand universal message of peace and blessing. And what's even more amazing is how they've used these carefully selected readings to create this seamless narrative flow. It's masterful.
It really is. And speaking of creating a mood, we can't forget about the music. They end this final section with 2 very well-known carols.
Ooh, which ones? Let me guess. Silent Night.
Well, Silent Night would definitely fit the mood, but they've gone with something a little more upbeat to close out the service, Joy to the World.
Oh, I love that one. It's so full of energy and celebration. It's impossible not to feel happy when you hear it. It makes perfect sense given the overall theme of celebrating the birth of Jesus.
Exactly. It's the perfect expression of that pure, unadulterated joy that Christmas represents. But then they do something really interesting. They follow Joy to the World with a slightly more subdued yet equally beloved carol. Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Oh, I see what they're doing. It's like they're bringing things back down to earth a bit, reminding us to cherish the simple joys of being with loved ones.
Precisely. It's that beautiful balance of celebrating the grand universal message of Christmas while also acknowledging the importance of personal connection and finding joy in the midst of our everyday lives.
It's just brilliant the way they've woven together all these different elements to create such a cohesive and impactful experience. Like, it's truly impressive.
I agree. And I think this deep dive has really highlighted the intentionality that goes into crafting these services. They're not just random collections of holiday-themed elements. They're carefully curated experiences designed to evoke specific emotions and convey profound messages.
That's so true. I'll never look at a Christmas service the same way again.
But even beyond the religious context, there are so many universal themes here that resonate with anyone, regardless of their beliefs. Absolutely. Take the story of the cobbler and his guest, for example. That's not just about religious faith. It's about the power of kindness and compassion.
Yeah.
About recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every human being.
You're right. It's a reminder that we all have the capacity to make a difference in the world through simple acts of service. And that's a message that's especially relevant during the holiday season when we're often focused on material things.
Speaking of which, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the cobbler and his guest story? Anything in particular that stood out to you?
Well, what really struck me was the idea that true generosity isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about recognizing the divine spark in everyone we encounter and treating them with kindness and compassion. It's about finding those disguised opportunities for giving in our everyday lives.
That's such a powerful insight. And it makes me wonder, where do we encounter those disguised opportunities in our own lives? How can we embody the spirit of the cobbler, not just during the holidays, but throughout the year? How can we embody the spirit of that cobbler, not just during the holidays, but, all year round?
That's a great question. And I think it's one we should all be asking ourselves. It doesn't have to be these complicated or extravagant things.
Right.
It could be as simple as like offering a helping hand to a stranger, or lending a listening ear to a friend in need, or just, offering a kind word to someone who's feeling down.
Yeah, I love that. It's a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have this ripple effect,
Yeah.
spreading love and positivity throughout the world.
And who knows, maybe in those small acts of giving we'll encounter the divine ourselves just like the cobbler did. Now, wouldn't that be something?
It would indeed. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Vibrant Vineyard's Christmas service, I want to leave you with this thought. How can you embody the spirit of the cobbler in your own life? What simple acts of kindness and service can you offer to those around you?
It really is a beautiful challenge, isn't it? It doesn't have to be these, grand sweeping gestures. Sometimes the most meaningful acts of giving are those small everyday moments of connection.
Right. It's about that willingness to see the needs of others and respond with compassion and generosity and, remembering that everyone has something to offer, no matter how humble it may seem.
Like that line in the poem, no riches or splendor, no jewels or gold, just the warmth of my heart in the cold. Sometimes that simple warmth is the most precious gift of all.
It truly is. And you know what I find so fascinating about this whole experience is how Vibrant Vineyard has managed to take something as familiar as a Christmas service and transform it into this incredibly profound and thought-provoking journey.
I know. I'll admit I went into this thinking, oh, it's just a Christmas service. But they've woven together these beautiful themes of majesty and humility, giving and receiving, and the power of family and community in a way that's both deeply moving and surprisingly insightful.
I completely agree. They've created something truly special. And, even if you don't personally celebrate Christmas or attend religious services, I think there's something universally appealing about the messages embedded in this service.
Oh, definitely. That focus on kindness, compassion, and the power of human connection transcends any specific belief system. It's something we can all relate to and strive for, regardless of our background.
Exactly. And it's a beautiful reminder that even in a world that can often feel divided and chaotic, There's still so much good out there, so much potential for love and unity.
It really gives you hope, doesn't it? And I
Uh-huh.
think that's the perfect note to end on. It's not just about celebrating Christmas, it's about carrying that spirit of generosity, kindness, and hope with us throughout the year.
Beautifully said. And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Vibrant Vineyard's Christmas service.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring this unique and thought-provoking experience with us.
And until next time, keep seeking those hidden depths and layers of meaning in the world around you.
Because you never know what treasures you might uncover.